In the studio this morning, we've got some really nice light in the studio, so I'm not going to turn the lights on. And we're going to make a painting. Can't promise you it's going to be a good painting. This is my setup. I'll go through the colors. So we have black, permanent green, some kind of brown. I forget what that is again. It is burnt umber, cadmium red, titanium white, cadmium yellow, cobalt blue, and French ultramarine blue. And this is what we're going to paint. Let's see if I can get this set up here. This is a scene, and I like to take videos, and then I'll take a screen grab from that video. I'm trying to find the simplest image, and I just liked the blue of the ocean. Kind of cool, that person walking down to, they're not going to get to the ocean, but they'll get closer with the umbrella there. I'm going to ignore that in the painting, but just happened to be there. So you can see how the color changed right here. I kind of like that. Very simple. I'll put this, it is on pause, but basically here, some of that brush and this line with the sky and the blue of the ocean. So that's what we're going to go for. We'll come back over to the palette here. If you didn't see how I clean brushes, it really works good, because you can keep reusing the same paint thinner, and that's just a nice thing. So I've got a decent enough clean brush, and I think we'll start on the panel here. When I finish this painting, I'll put it up on my site, so if you'd like to paint from the photograph of the painting that I'm going to make, let's hope it's okay. First, I'm going to make a very loose drawing. So kind of measuring down a little bit here. There's my horizon line, sky, water. Here's my field. And we can continue the field over this way. And maybe some of this brush. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but we'll see. I've been looking at a lot of Milton Avery paintings lately. And I really like his paintings, his wife's paintings, Sally Mitchell. They're very similar. And maybe that's something you want to check out. I'll put a link in the description to one or two of the videos that I've been looking at. So I've got a little white here. I'll take a little of this cobalt blue, mix that up. I'm probably going to keep this really simple, as simple as I can. That's a little bit more blue than I want. So a little more white. And a little of this burnt umber. Just a little bit there. Let me get in tight on this. That might be better for the water. I think that looks pretty good for the water. So I'll grab that brush. Now I'm going to dab some of the paint thinner out of that brush. Otherwise, the paint will be too thin. Sometimes that's good, sometimes it's not. I'm going to try to eventually set up two cameras so this is a little bit easier. And we'll go ahead and just pull that water right in there. What I really like are simple paintings. I love, and just because I say they're simple paintings, that doesn't mean they're simple to paint. I'm thinking of painters like Richard Diebenkorn and, again, Milton Avery. There's a bunch of them. I just can't remember their names right now. But I am sort of a less is more. It's like my friend the painter Francis Cunningham says it's not so much about what it is, right? It's about the painting and the paint. But look at that already. That's why I say anybody can paint. It's fun, just paint. All right, so now I'm going to, I'll pull that a little bit more. Now I'm going to add some white to this to knock the color down so I can create that horizon line. And because I like the simplicity of a painting, I don't mind if some of this pencil mark stays. It's sort of like seeing behind the curtain a little bit. So back down on the palette here, grab some more of this white, pull that in there. Well, it's not even if, I will have extra paint. I'll paint one of those squares and we can take a look at that painting, see how it's evolving before we end. All right, I don't know if there's going to be a huge difference in these colors. This brush is pretty lousy, but I'll use it. So for me, it's a lot of fun to spend 15 or 30 minutes painting like this. And I'll throw it up on the mantle at the end of the day and look at it and just see what I want to do. Now tomorrow, this paint will set up a little bit. So if I want to go back into it, it will. And I'll be able to because the paint won't be wet. If I wait another day, it'll be that much drier. So that's the nice thing about having maybe a few paintings going on at once. So already I'm liking that. So now I have this large foreground, and there's a lot going on in it in the photograph or in the video. And I'm not quite sure how I'm going to deal with it. So I'm going to take this paint, this blue paint, and put it off to the corner, because I will want to use that for one of those squares on the square painting. I'll leave that there for now. And I'll just take the rest of this, some white, a little bit of yellow, and the burnt umber here. I got to clean this palette off. Can't find the paint. It's here somewhere. There we go. That's a lot though. A little of this goes a long way. Now, if I had a printout of that photograph, I might take the paint on my knife and hold it up to the photograph. Let's just say that this was a photograph. And I could see if I was close with the color. But since my printer's not working, I'm just going to go for it. All right, let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit. That's all right. And when you look at the Milton Avery paintings, they're often large fields of color. And I really like that. To me, it's a certain sense of confidence to not go too far into the detail. So you can look at a painting and be like, oh, anybody can make that, or there's not much going on there, because it's just a large area of color like this. Might even look cool leaving that unfinished a bit. But I don't even know what I was saying. Okay, so let's just throw some darks in there. So I'll come back to the palette. And this could be screwing everything up because I'm liking the simplicity of it, but I'm trying to get maybe a little more. You can see how that color really darkened with just a little bit more of the burnt umber. So I'll bring that back up. And I am going to put this in a frame because it's a cheat. You could say it's a cheat. It makes my bad paintings look halfway decent. And sometimes that's what I need to continue on. So I'm going to go like this. Over here, there's sort of a lighter grass. It's almost a gray. So what I'm going to do is grab a little black and some white. You get these winter colors. They're sort of very dead. Where the hell's my black? Thought I had some black over here. Jeez. Didn't really do a good job getting ready for this. Yeah, that's all right. And then a big piece of white. Maybe some more of that. And we'll see how that goes. I have my doubts, but I'm just going to go for it. That's the beauty of painting small. It's not a big commitment. You can just go for it. If you decide you don't like the painting, you know, that's the fun. You let yourself be entertained by the painting you make. Stop looking at your phone and make a painting. And it's not a big deal. If I don't like this, I can sand it down. That might create a really cool surface that I want to paint on later. So I'm really trying to take the pressure off. So here's this sort of grayish, brown, white, field type color. And I'm just going to lay a block of color right here. And just because I've decided I don't like this, I'm gonna and I want to bring that water down to meet that area. See how that goes. Not so good. That didn't work too good at all. Oh, I do have some of that blue though. So I can take some of that blue. I really need to get some decent brushes. That was a sky blue. That's all right. And now I'll use some kind of a gray, brown, darker color just to throw up a suggestion of the trees. So I'll take that, a little more white, a little more of this brown here, maybe a little more of that brown, if I can find any black. I thought I put black on the palette. I guess I didn't. Occasionally I'll come along here with a chisel and clean all this off. It's kind of overdue. I think it needs to be darker. Yeah, it'll be nice to clean this palette and kind of start fresh. I thought I had some black. Yeah, that looks good. That'll be good enough. All right. This will be the last thing I do, at least for today on this painting, and then I'll call it quits and either leave it or I'm trying to find a brush that's soft. Sometimes if you have a really stiff brush, it'll pick the paint off the canvas. So a softer brush will let the paint go down. So we'll go ahead and throw in that tree line. You might hear my footsteps. I'm walking away from the painting. And I'm going to bring a little bit of it over here too. It's always good to walk away from the painting, and actually a kind of a good thing to do would be to just darken it up a little bit over here where the woods are a little darker, or there's a little, the foliage is a little denser. I was able to find a little bit of darker color, but I don't think it'll be enough. Forget it, I'll just leave it. It's all a suggestion. It's a suggestion of what could be there. All right, let's see what it looks like in a frame. This is where I cheat. All my paintings look better once they're in a frame. This is the frame, if I can find it. This is the frame that I made last week, if you were around for that video. I'll put the painting in the frame, and we can look at it over here. And there it is. I like it, I think. All right, here is the square painting. I got a little pushback on this painting, but that's okay. This painting, I think will look good when it's done. What I decided to do, I talked about it on Instagram, is leave a decent amount of raw canvas. So I picked 35 squares, and where these little pieces of green tape are, those squares are going to be left raw canvas, so they won't get any paint. Since I have a little paint on the palette, we'll take the rest of that paint and mix up another color and paint a square. So we'll go ahead and whatever white I have here, I'll just grab, put that on this. This is where that blue was. This is actually kind of a nice color. I think that's the color I'll use. Shit, there we go. And we'll just pick a random square. I don't want to paint a low one because I don't want to be that low. Physically, I don't want to crouch down and adjust the camera. So I think we'll paint this one right here. So let me just grab a brush. The idea behind this painting too is you don't have to think about what you're painting. You're just mixing color. So sometimes you don't know what you want to paint. And this gives you an excuse to just mix a little color and kind of let it be random and see what happens. So this painting is everything about kind of design, maybe more so than painting. How the painting will look when it's framed is a big part of this painting too. I have it sort of designed in my mind. All right, I'll back this up a little bit. Straighten this out. And that is our day in the studio. Hope you enjoyed it. This is kind of my process, kind of figure out what I'm doing. Maybe I'll make a little painting. Maybe I'll paint a square. Maybe I'll work on a stencil. It's always nice to have a bunch of things going. So anytime you get a minute, you can do something creative. My sort of creative life is really based around discipline because I have to build furniture on a regular basis. That's how I pay the bills, not so much with the furniture, but making YouTube videos, building furniture, selling plans, teaching how to build furniture. So by having the ability to come up here and work very loosely, it's a really nice break from always being very disciplined in the woodworking area of my life. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to support what I'm doing here, I've got a ton of merchandise on my website. I'd be really appreciate it if you picked any of it up. And if you do, post it on Instagram. I'd love to see it and share your stories on my Instagram. I'll see you next week.